Welcome back. Now, our game is getting dangerous. We can certainly lose if we get hit by our drone firing at us, but we need some kind of way to do well in the game. In other words, some way to score points. And what I'd like is to spawn some floating objects that we can try to get while we're avoiding being hit. Some kind of a floating sphere. So we're going to make one of those in this video. But while I'm working in playtesting, I don't want to have to dodge this robot shooting at me the whole time just because I want to playtest. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new level by going to File, New Level, and choosing Basic. I'll go ahead and create this, and we'll be playtesting in this level where we don't have any drones firing at us, distracting us from what we're trying to do. Now, we can even save this level in our Maps folder next to Bot Level. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to File, Save Current Level As, choosing Maps, and this is going to be our testing level. I'll go ahead and save that, and while we're in the testing level, we can press play, and we don't have to worry about that pesky drone firing at us. Now, I'd like to make a floating sphere actor, which means I need a sphere mesh. And this is a good opportunity to get some practice with the modeling mode. So I'm going to switch from selection mode up here at the top to modeling. And under create, I'm going to choose sphere and hover my mouse over here into the world. I'm going to go ahead and click to make one of those spheres. And I'd like to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to set the radius to about 20. So we have this nice sphere with a radius of 20. In fact, 15 might even be better. Now I'm going to click accept, and now we've created the sphere. I can use Shift 1 to go back to selection mode if I don't want to use my drop down here. And now that I've created this mesh, I'm going to right click on it and browse to asset and show the mesh asset here. As we know, when we use modeling mode, it's inserted into the _generated Druid folder. Now, by the way, you don't have to let it go to this folder. You can go to the folder you want it to be in, let's say assets, for example. And if we go back to modeling mode and create, well, down here at the bottom, there's a new asset location, and you can choose current folder. Otherwise, it's going to auto-generate the folder that it generated. But that's okay. I'm just going to take that sphere. I'm going to first rename it and call it SM_small sphere. I don't want the P uppercase there. And I'm going to move it into my assets folder by using move here. And in the assets folder, I'm going to make a new folder called small sphere. And I'll go ahead and move this small sphere into the small sphere folder. And I'd like the small sphere to have its own material. I'd like it to be somewhat glowy. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to call this M_small sphere and open it up. And I just want a emissive color. So I'm going to hold 3 and click to get that color vector, and I'll give it something somewhat golden like this, and I'll hook it into emissive color, except it's not quite as bright as I want it to, so I'm going to multiply this color to overdrive it. So I'm going to get a multiply node and hook that in, and I'm going to multiply by, let's try 20 for now. We'll see how glowy that is. Once we apply this material, I'm going to save, and I'm going to find my SM small sphere and apply my small sphere material to it, and it looks like this, a glowing sphere. Great. I can take a look at how it looks in the level, and perhaps we may want a bit of a darker level, but we'll get to that soon enough. For now, I just want to focus on creating the small sphere and getting it working. Now, these are going to be pickups of sorts. As soon as we fly over to one of these and grab one, I want that to be good for us. I want it to increase some kind of point count, and these shouldn't just be static, they should float around in the world. So for that reason, I'm going to create a new actor for our small sphere. So I don't need this static mesh anymore. I'm going to delete that from the world, and I'm going to make a new blueprint. I'm going to go to the blueprints folder, make a new folder here, and call this small sphere. I'm going to open it and make a new blueprint here. So I'm going to right click, create a blueprint class, select actor, and call this BP underscore small sphere. Now, small sphere just needs a mesh component. So I'm going to open it up and add a component. It's going to be a static mesh. I'm going to call this sphere mesh, and I'm going to set its static mesh to SM small sphere. And now we have it. Now, something I don't like about the small sphere, the origin of the sphere, or its pivot point, is at the bottom of the sphere, and I'd really like that sphere to have its pivot point at the center of the sphere. See, if we press E and we rotate, we're rotating about that pivot point, and that's not exactly what I want. So I'm actually going to make a new small sphere and delete this one. Before I do that, I'm going to find SM small sphere. I'm going to click on Browse to Asset to find it here, and I'm going to rename this one to SM small sphere underscore deprecated. That way, when I make a new one, I'll know which one is the old one. So let's go ahead and get modeling mode back. I can use Shift 5 to open it, and I'm going to choose sphere. The radius is 15, that's perfect. But for pivot location, instead of base, I want to use centered. And now if I go ahead and click in the world, I see that it's halfway in the ground because we're snapping to the ground according to the pivot point, which is the center of the mesh. Now I have an opportunity to use that new asset location. I can use the current location because I'm in Assets, Small Sphere. I'm going to let this new sphere go to the current folder. So I'm going to set new asset loc to current folder, click Accept, and now I made a new sphere, and it's right here in the Small Sphere folder. How nice. Now I can use Shift 1 to get out of modeling mode. I can take this sphere and delete it, and I can take the sphere asset itself and rename it to SM small sphere. Now I just need to do a couple things. First, apply the material, so I can open it and apply the small sphere material to it. Save that. And then I can go to my BP small sphere and change the sphere mesh to our new SM small sphere. And now I see that it's in the center. I'm going to go ahead and save that and save everything by clicking on Save All. Before I delete my SM small sphere deprecated, I'm going to select it, hit delete, and our pop-up tells us that two things are referencing small sphere. But we can force delete, and anything referencing it will have those references set to none. So I'm going to hit force delete, and now our small sphere deprecated is gone, and we have our new small sphere, which has its pivot point in the center, which is what I wanted. Okay, excellent. I'm done with the SM small sphere static mesh asset. I'm done with the M small sphere material for now. I don't need SM blaster beam or BP blaster beam or BP bot for now. I just have small sphere, and now we can focus on functionality for the sphere. So we're going to take the functionality for this sphere in small steps, and I'd like you to take the first step to implementing its functionality now. I'd like you to make the sphere simply move forward in its own forward direction at a given speed. This is a relatively easy ask, but it's a good way to solidify some of the skills you've learned so far. So make this small sphere simply move forward, constantly moving in its own forward direction. Make its speed a variable on the small sphere actor class, and also take frame rate into account using delta time. Once you're done, drag a BP small sphere into your level, press play, and make sure that your sphere is moving forward. Pause the video and move your sphere now. Okay, so I'm going to want to go to my event graph and use event tick. I'm going to go ahead and use add actor world offset for this. And I just want to use my actor forward vector. So I'm going to use get actor forward vector. But I want to scale the forward vector by my speed. So making some room here, I'm going to take my actor forward vector. I'm going to multiply by another value, and that value is going to be my speed times delta seconds. So I want a speed variable. I'll create a new variable called speed. I'm going to make this a float, and I'm going to multiply speed by delta seconds to get frame rate independence. And I'm going to multiply all of this by the actor forward vector to scale it by our desired speed. So I need to take this multiply node, convert its second pin to float, and I want to multiply the forward vector by that. Now that I have that, I'll use that for my delta location, and we'll call add actor world offset every frame in tick. Now to test, let's go into our level. Let's bring in a BP sphere. Make sure that you're testing not with a static mesh, but the actual actor small sphere. So if you got stuck on that, that might have been why. You need the actual actor in the world. Let's press play. And we don't see anything. And I think that's because my speed is 0. Yes, it is. So I'm going to try a value of 100. We should get 100 units per second here. And there it goes. It's moving at 100 units per second. Perfect. Okay, so we have the first step under our belt for the small sphere. It's moving, right? We'll continue with our small sphere in the next video. Great job. I'll see you soon.